In September of the year 318, Jin Zhuan, a Xiongnu noble, dates unknown, died in 319, launched a coup, killing his son-in-law, Emperor Yin of Han, Lu Kan. The entire Lu family in the capital was publicly beheaded. They also excavated the tombs of Emperor Guangwen Lu Yuan and Emperor Zhaowu Lu Tsong, decapitated Lu Tsong's body, and burned down the ancestral temple of the Lu family. Jin Zhuan, self-styled as the Heavenly King of Han, established a new dynasty, and appointed officials for the new court. At this time, something happened that later generations found incomprehensible. Jin Zhuan wanted to return the imperial jade seal captured by the Han dynasty when Western Jin fell, a symbol of legitimate imperial authority and legitimacy, to Emperor Sima Rui of Eastern Jin. He conveyed to Emperor Yuan of Jin, saying, "How can a clown from the Xiongnu Tuj tribe proclaim himself king in the Central Plains, undermining the great Jin dynasty and causing hardship for two emperors in exile? I now return the coffins of the two emperors to the Eastern Jin dynasty." When Jin Zhuan assigned this absurd task to a Jin man named Husong, who had surrendered to the Han dynasty in his early years, Husong was completely bewildered by Jin Zhuan's words. Jin Zhuan's decision exceeded Husong's cognitive abilities. Husong completely failed to understand the meaning of Jin Zhuan's words and dared not deliver the seal. He was killed by Jin Zhuan with a sword. Later, Emperor Yuan of Jin received information from Jin Zhuan but did not fully understand it, half believing and half doubting, yet still sent officials to give it a try. As expected, they brought back the coffins of Emperor Huai and Emperor Min.At. This time, internal strife among the Xiongnu people sparked the hope of revival for the Western Jin dynasty, led by the former Western Jin general who surrendered to the Han dynasty, Bai Gongchen. Bai Gongchen was known for his courageous and impulsive nature, as well as his prowess in battle. Originally a general stationed in the northwest border region of Liangzhou, during the waning years of the Western Jin dynasty, he twice led his cavalry from Liangzhou to rescue Luoyang, the capital of the Western Jin dynasty, when it was on the brink of being captured by Han forces. Despite facing a much larger enemy force, he successfully liberated the Western Jin capital, earning renown for his deeds. However, when Bai Gongchen called for a Han uprising, he was greatly disappointed as only a few Han people responded. These Han individuals had endured the hardships of the chaos during the War of the Eight Princes of the Sima clan in the late Western Jin period. They had followed Lu Yuan, the founding emperor of the Han dynasty. Losing hope in the Western Jin, they were also unwilling to get involved in the turmoil among the Xiongnu people. They were wiser than Bai Gongchen, avoiding losing their lives due to momentary impulses. At this time, Prince of Zhongshan, Lu Yao, was stationed in Chang'an. Upon hearing of Jin Zhuan's rebellion, he personally led his troops from Chang'an towards Pingyang, the capital of the Han dynasty. Simultaneously, another military commander of the Han dynasty, Shi Lu, also led his troops from Hebei to attack Pingyang. With all the capable military leaders and generals of the Lu clan in Pingyang killed by Jin Zhuan, his coup group was unable to resist the well-trained and experienced armies commanded by Lu Yao and Shi Lu. Jin Zhuan wanted to surrender, but knowing his deep guilt, he hesitated. Before he could make a decision, he was killed by Jin Ming. Jin Ming then presented the imperial jade seal to Lu Yao, preparing to surrender to him. This angered Shi Lu greatly, who then swiftly attacked Pingyang with his main forces. Jin Ming sought help from Lu Yao, but in the end, Lu Yao entered Pingyang and quelled the rebellion. Afterwards, the men and women of both Jin Zhuan's and Jin Ming's families were executed. The punishment of extermination of 3 lineages was a cruel punishment in ancient China. It didn't involve just the criminal, it included members of the criminal's family, the father's family, and the wife's family. The number of people implicated could range from a few hundred to over 1,000. Originally, within the Xiongnu ethnic group, there emerged a great leader like Lu Yuan, who established the first monarchic regime of a minority nationality in the Central Plains called the Han dynasty. He led his people out of the barbaric and backward nomadic tribal confederation society, integrating into a more civilized and progressive feudal autocracy. This was a historically significant development for both the Xiongnu ethnic group and the Chinese cultural society. However, lasting only 14 years, another Xiongnu noble, Jin Zhuan, used means incomprehensible to later generations to destroy it. This event became a famous unsolved case in Chinese history, more than 2,000 years ago, far removed from the tribal confederation society of the Xiongnu. The ancient Chinese tribal leader Shun, renowned for his filial piety, established filial piety as the core virtue, along with loyalty, filial piety, benevolence, and righteousness, thereby setting moral standards for Chinese culture. At the same time, another sage revered by later generations as the ancestor of Chinese justice, Gao Tao, constructed the earliest judicial system in China. About 1,500 years later, during the Spring and Autumn period, the sage Confucius inherited the knowledge of his predecessors and founded the Confucian school of thought, gathering disciples for teaching and engaging in educational activities. Confucius and his students actively propagated Confucianism, and through generations of effort, Confucian thought became deeply rooted among the common people, becoming the mainstream of Chinese culture. Confucianism elevated the cognitive ability of the masses regarding moral standards, enabling them to distinguish right from wrong and stabilize social order. Lu Yuan was a highly Sinicized Xiongnu, but overall, the Xiongnu ethnic group did not fully embrace Chinese culture, nor did they possess the cognitive ability toward human moral standards as the Han Chinese did. This is why Jin Zhuan would commit actions that are completely incomprehensible. Growing up in a primitive, barbaric, and morally unregulated environment, Jin Zhuan had no constraints to prevent him from doing whatever he wanted. As it takes 10 years to grow trees, but 100 years to cultivate people, said the philosopher Guanzhong during the Spring and Autumn period. This means that the Xiongnu people need to undergo generations of adaptation before fully integrating into Chinese cultural society. However, it is heartening that since Lu Yuan established the first monarchic regime of a minority nationality in the Central Plains, called the Han Dynasty, any minority regime established thereafter in the Central Plains has vigorously promoted Sinicization. They identified themselves as part of the Chinese nation and governed the country based on Confucianism. They even showed more enthusiasm for Confucianism than Han Chinese regimes. In September of the year 1307, shortly after ascending the throne, Emperor Wuzong of the Yuan dynasty, of Mongol ethnicity, posthumously honored Confucius as the most almighty saint, King Wenchuan. On a commemorative monument, it was recorded, if not for Confucius, the contributions of the sages before him to Chinese culture would be unknown to us. If not for Confucius, the sages after him would lose the truth to emulate. This conferred extremely high praise upon Confucius. Emperor Kangxi of the Qing dynasty, of Manchu ethnicity, reigned for 61 years, making him the longest reigning emperor in Chinese history. He broke with tradition by performing the 3 kneelings and 9 kowtows ritual when paying homage to Confucius, the highest form of worship, to express profound respect and sincerity towards Confucius. In the inscription on the Confucius temple stele, Emperor Kangxi stated that Confucius did not possess supreme power like Emperor Yao, Emperor Shun, King Wen of Zhou, or King Wu of Zhou. Instead, Confucius provided ideological and political concepts, guiding political power with the spirit of traditional Chinese culture. In the over 4,000 years of Chinese history, a total of 83 dynasties and 559 emperors have appeared. Among them were tyrants, incompetent rulers, and monarchs of minority ethnic regimes. Despite the constant changes in dynasties and emperors, the spirit of Chinese culture deeply rooted among the grassroots people never disappears. This has allowed Chinese civilization to endure for over 4,000 years in human history, with an enduring legacy. Yuzi, a student of Confucius, said, "It is rare to see people who are filial to their parents and obedient to their elders, but who like to offend the upper-level rulers. There are no people who don't like to offend the upper-level rulers, but like to rebel. A gentleman concentrates on fundamental affairs, and when the fundamentals are established, the principles for governing a country and being a man will also be established. Be filial to your parents and obey your elders. This is the foundation of benevolence." I believe that the reason why successive Chinese monarchs have respected Confucius and enthusiastically promoted Confucianism is because they pursue social stability. The core of Confucianism is benevolence, and at the heart of benevolence lies filial piety. Therefore, social stability arises from children's filial piety to their parents within the family.